October the 31st, 2019 to order. Present for the public hearing tonight we have Councilperson Randy Unruh, Councilperson Kawana Persinger, Councilperson James Mays, Councilperson Donnie Hall, and the Town Clerk and Treasurer Wendy Biggs. Vice Mayor Councilperson Richard Erskine is absent again as he's still in the hospital in Salem and unable to be here. We'll try to keep him informed as much as we can, and we have one vacant seat that we hope to fill at the council meeting tonight. This is a public hearing to provide information to the citizens of the town concerning a threatened lawsuit against the town and the possible financial implications it will have on everyone in this town to avoid this lawsuit. Not if the lawsuit happens and if we lose the lawsuit, but to avoid the lawsuit. This is purely a legal matter that's going to be handled completely through our attorneys. There will not be any discussion from anybody up here individually. And also I want to reiterate that no one person on this council, or even myself, can obligate the town to anything without act of town council. Nothing has been imposed, nothing has been done. None of that can be done without proper public hearings, proper citizen input, and proper feedback, and vote from town council. This is merely an informational meeting tonight. Everybody in this room is going to have an opportunity to say something if they want to. But I do want to make this point very clear. And Mr. Fisher and myself have talked about this matter. You have an opportunity to speak. You will speak appropriately, and you will speak respectfully, and you will not speak threateningly. If you do, you will be asked to sit down. The second time, you will be told to sit down. And the third time, you will leave the premises. No questions, no ifs, ands, or buts about it. Chris, anything you want to add to that?
What if you don't stand up to speak?
It doesn't matter. You know that.
Exactly.
Thank you, Chaz. Yeah. So, having said all of that, and I'm going to still chair this public hearing. However, the bulk of the public hearing is going to be facilitated by our attorney, Jared Jenkins. He will be handling the information that we're putting out tonight. He will be fielding and responding to the questions that anyone might have so that it is all handled in a legal manner. There is one issue that I am going to deal with up front, and that is false information that was published in the Virginian Review tonight. And it says, outlining the case, Mayor Unruh has received death threats recently for asking town residents to remove refuge from their properties. I never received a death threat. I never said I received a death threat. I did receive some threatening comments. They were dealt with appropriately, but it is a far cry from being a death threat that anyone has ever issued to me. And as far as I know, to my face, or that I've been made aware of, no one has made any threat of physical harm whatsoever to me or my family in this town. The people that made those threats didn't have a dog in the race. They are not in town residents, and they're not involved down here. So just want to clear that up because that is completely not true. So, having said that, Mr. Jenkins, I'm going to turn the floor over to you.
Thank you, Mayor Unruh. As Mayor Unruh, to make that point, because that fact was put out by Mr. Baker, who is apparently Ms. Simpson's attorney. So that's just one of multiple facts he got wrong in his report to Mr. Gleason for the paper. So none of the facts in the threatened lawsuit, none of the facts in the paper match up with any sort of reality. So that's why we're here, is to talk about that, talk about what the town's options are. Where we stand now, I think most of you probably know, is that the town was attempting to help a resident figure out the issues on her property. And now, a couple months later, we've been threatened with a lawsuit. So as things stand now, the town, it has been demanded that in addition to the $20,000 the town has already allocated to go fix this pipe, the money's out there, checks ready to be written, we got a contractor lined up, $20,000 the town has already allocated, willing to spend to fix this problem. That's taken care of. On top of that, now the property owner wants at least $30,000 in addition from the town to be allowed to come onto her property and fix the pipe she claims is our problem. So that's where we stand now, and we've got a deadline of December 31st was the threat in Mr. Baker's letter. So, point of tonight's meeting is if at some point the town's going to figure out a way to pay $30,000 to avoid this lawsuit before December 31st, we need to start having public hearings as soon as possible. So that's why as soon as we got this letter, I asked Mayor Unruh and Wendy to schedule this public hearing so we could start getting feedback. As Mayor Unruh said earlier, we're not deciding anything tonight. We're not allocating any money tonight. Tonight's all just a discussion. Mr. Gleason, in the article in the paper, I spoke with him. The way we roughly, Wendy and I sort of back of the envelope calculation was figure $30,000 if they're willing to settle for that, divided by, I believe it's 185 sewer bills that go out each month, would be a one-time fee of $165 on everybody in town who receives a sewer bill. Everybody in town who receives a sewer bill would have to pay an additional $165 before December 31st to make the lawsuit go away. That's where things stand. So that is one option for the town, is to just give into these demands, say, we're going to pay you $30,000 for the pleasure of coming and paying to fix the pipe that's on your property. That would not be my advice to the town to do that, but obviously I'm only doing what the town council ultimately directs me to do through input from y'all. As far as the actual lawsuit is concerned, as I mentioned, none of the facts alleged are accurate. So I am very confident if we do go to court that we will win. Because the facts are, this was never the town's problem. The town, trying to be nice to one of its citizens, volunteered to go on the property. She was complained, there was clearly water in the yard, something was clearly wrong. The town offered to go investigate and see what the problem was and go from there. As it turns out, the ultimate issue is before the current property owner bought the property, the prior owner was tilling a garden right over top of this pipe that's been there for 100 years. And the tiller went too deep and dug up the pipe. And we've got at least 3 credible eyewitnesses who were there and helped advise this person, you probably ought to fix that right. This person apparently decided to just put in basically a splice. So you've got two ends of terracotta pipe spliced with a 5-foot black line drainage pipe, which soon thereafter the property owner began complaining that there was water in the basement, water in the yard. So the property owner damaged the pipe. The property owner is the one who caused the problem. But for a while, apparently that worked in some way. And then towards the end of last year, we found out that the VDOT drainage junction box, drop box, can't think of the technical.
It was the line south of the drop box in front of Miss Fisher's house. It runs parallel to Route 220 south that this line drains into was blocked. So
the VDOT, that part of the VDOT line was blocked, causing the whole system to back up on everybody that was above that blockage in the VDOT line. So once VDOT finally, and the town, again, not the town's problem, the town will help the citizen, let's figure this out. Called at least 2 different crews from VDOT. I know 2 different trucks came up to figure out what the problem was. They finally unclogged the VDOT pipe, and there hasn't been a problem since. I mean, we've had all this rain yesterday and today, and the water's flowing right through the pipe like it's supposed to. So VDOT had a problem, VDOT fixed the problem, and that's the end of it. The problem arose on a VDOT pipe. So at this point, the town's position, one of the positions the town takes, is this is VDOT's problem. It's a VDOT pipe. When VDOT fixed their problem, the pipe was fixed. So if the property owner wants to complain to somebody, they ought to complain to whoever owns the pipe, which is VDOT. But again, the town, realizing what a hassle it is to deal with VDOT, that's one of the reasons the town got involved in the first place, was to try and help this individual out from having to deal with VDOT. And we get thanked with a demand for $30,000. So where it ultimately comes down to is, again, the town has allocated the money to fix the pipe. No questions asked, there's a problem, fine, we'll fix it. We don't have to, but we will. And what do we get? We get a lawsuit that says, oh, by the way, you need $30,000 to come onto my property and fix this pipe I've been complaining about. Not only that, I want rent for the past year, $1,000 a month for the hassle this has caused, when she wouldn't let us on the property to fix the problem. So that's why I'm ultimately confident, because this will go to a jury up in Covington, folks in Allegheny County, Iron Gate, and Covington, and when we tell them the whole point of this lawsuit is for this lady to get money to fix a problem that we've allocated money for, that we want to fix the problem, she won't let us on the property, and then wants to complain that we won't fix the problem. So I just don't understand how a rational person could say, please come fix this problem. It's been a problem for so many years, but you've got to pay me $30,000 for the honor of coming and fixing the pipe. It just doesn't make sense to me. I don't think it'll make sense to anybody, especially not a jury. So that's the other option, is the town could essentially call what is a very apparent bluff and say, okay, fine, just go ahead and sue us. Obviously, there's going to be some legal fees. There are going to be some expert fees. I'm sure this law firm is well suited to run up costs as high as they possibly can and still get away with it. They will have surveyors and engineers and all kinds of folks coming to explain what everybody in this room knows what the problem is. So there is a chance. There's always a chance. Told Mayor Unruh, never give a guarantee that we'll win. So there is a chance we lose. I think it's highly unlikely. Problem is, if we go that route, what precedent that sets is my grandmother, she's got puddles in her yard tonight. Maybe the town should have put in a drainage line to drain, clean that up. Every time somebody gets a mud puddle in their yard, well, where's the town? Why didn't they put a drainage pipe? I can't step through this puddle. I mean, you all know the problems we've had with the sewer and the water lines, trying to get the storm water, the sewer fixed. In the next couple of years, hopefully, we're going to replace all of that. And if everybody in town expects a check for $30,000 to better the town, then, what are we going to do? We can't pay everybody $30,000 to come on their property and fix the sewer lines. I mean, it's just a practical, clearly didn't understand what they were doing when they thought they could just essentially blackmail the town into paying this money. I mean, that's just not feasible. So the last alternative, so we've got two so far. Just pay the $30,000, pay the additional $20,000 to fix the pipe, be done with it. Not pay anything, go to court, take our chances. Or the third, and I'm still looking into it, but I think at our next meeting, this is probably going to be my advice to council, is just officially say, we don't think we own it. We don't think we have any property interest whatsoever. But if anybody thinks we do, we're abandoning it. Just like we abandon alleys. We don't think we own it, but we're gonna abandon it. So then it'll be the property owner's problem. So we know a contractor out there that will only charge $20,000 to fix it. So ultimately, I think at the end of the day, the best way this plays out, and legally the way it plays out, is we ultimately save the town $20,000 because we don't pay the $30,000 up front, and the property owner pays to have the problem fixed. So that'll save the town $20,000.